Today's score is Stones from 1969 by Christian Wolff. Make sounds with stones, draw sounds out of stones, using a number of sizes and kinds and colors, for the most part discreetly, sometimes in rapid sequences. For the most part striking stones with stones, but also stones on other surfaces. For example, inside the open head of a drum, or other than struck, bowed for instance, or amplified. Do not break anything. So I'm including this in the open instrumentation series because there's a suggestion in here of playing a drum with stones. So I think you could technically include other instruments into this piece. You would just have to be playing those instruments with stones. I don't think I've seen interpretations of this that are like that, but I don't know. I feel like you could do a lot of creative stuff with stones inside a piano, for example. So there is some sort of like concert hall experience, I think, that this piece has become associated with. I think out of the text scores by Christian Wolff that we've looked at, this is by far the shortest. It's the most concise, and unsurprisingly, it is the most performed. I think a lot of people know about this piece, particularly anyone who specializes in like free improv or open scores. And it's a novel idea, right? Especially for 1969. So, just Googling it, there is a edition Wandelweiser performance, which is over an hour long. That might be interesting. Um, there's a couple 5-minute ones on YouTube. Ensemble for Experimental Music and Theater, EEMT. There's also this one, this recording, which is 15 minutes long, just popping up here. Uh, there's this recording from, these are different members of an improvisation space. Interesting. What is this? E42.88. Anyways, it looks like a some sort of free improv collective. Okay, well, since we've looked at so many Christian Wolff scores from this little prose collection, I can say that this score does echo some themes from other text scores of his. His work Play that we looked at the other day talked a lot about colors, and had a color version. So I think it's interesting that he mentions the color of the stones being important in this. And there's some sort of like connection that the improvisers can like make, or maybe the improv can be inspired by the colors of the stones, right? There's this sort of like type of prose that I think is common in all of these scores where he'll have quite a complicated sentence where it's difficult to figure out what the subject is in the sentence, and there's lots of different punctuation. So here we have commas and semicolons in the um, first sentence. So I think in this first sentence, the subject is sounds. Like you might think stones is the subject here, but I think he's actually talking about sounds here. And here the subject is you, the performer. The subject isn't stones in this sentence either, right? He's leaving it out, but it's like for the most part, you are striking stones with stones, but also you are striking stones on other surfaces or bowing them, or So I think like he's very good at dodging the subject of the sentence, which gives his prose this kind of like confusing quality to it, so kind of like stream of consciousness thing. And then of course he has sentences that are often very very direct, so to break up the text. So I mean, this is like a very concise version of what we've been seeing in like all these other prose pieces of his. Um, so yeah, I think today I'm actually gonna indulge a little bit and listen to the Wandelweiser recording. That's the link that'll be in the description today. And before that, I'll just like shower and have lunch and stuff. So after all that, I will reconvene here and tell you my thoughts on that recording. Um, but as I just demonstrated, there's like another album with 19 other interpretations, so there's no shortage of interpretations to choose from if you want to listen to something else. Okay, so I decided to lie in bed and listen to this album, and these are just my immediate thoughts. It was it's a very quiet recording. Like, I really had to crank my headphones up all the way. Um, and a lot of the sounds are so quiet that they're barely audible over the room noise. It did take a bit of like getting into it, just like getting used to the sound of all these different recordings happening simultaneously, all these different room noises, hearing all these like subtle sounds of the performers moving and like moving as they are about to play. Then for maybe the first half hour, I was kind of fading in and out of sleep, and then the second half of the album kind of kept my attention a bit more. I started to become more aware of the fact that this was not one performance, but actually seven performances. It was like kind of, I could kind of place in the mix these different columns of noise and sound, and that made it a little bit easier to listen to. I couldn't really tell where a lot of the sounds were coming from. Of course, there's like the clicking of rocks together, which is the most familiar sound, and probably the one that comes to mind. Like it has a very clear association. Then the more like friction-y sounds and sounds with other implements other than rocks, I found it very difficult to figure out what it was. I don't know if I liked it or disliked it. Probably neither. I feel very neutral about it by the end of it. There's definitely a focus on sound, uh, but I think mostly by the way of like dulling other senses. Like the performers are blind and deaf to one another in this project, and I'm blind to what the performers are doing because there's no video components. So it definitely made me think about uh, sound and hearing. Yeah, that's my thoughts, and that's it for the prose collection of Christian Wolff's text scores, at least for this channel.